Give us a sense as we watch President Macron and President Trump, and then we have Angela Merkel coming on Friday as well. How do our trading partners perceive the United States at this point?
Unfortunately, the perception in much of the world is the U.S. is a somewhat unreliable and untrustworthy trading partner because long-standing trading relationships, such as those with Europe or NAFTA, are being reconsidered by the administration. And that creates a lot of uncertainty, which affects businesses because their supply chains now go through a variety of countries. And these are relationships that are very important also in standing together against countries like China, where there are common interests among the European Union, among the U.S. And other countries in taking on China on issues of intellectual property rights, market access, and so on. So having conflicts with one's traditional allies certainly makes that very complicated as well.
At the same time, do our allies, such as France, such as Germany, see with some sympathy the basic claim the United States is saying, at least with respect to some trading relationships around the world, they were formed a long time ago when the United States was much more dominant. It's become much more egalitarian, and we've got to readjust some of those.
That's the irony of the situation right now. There are so many common interests among these countries that you would think that these relationships would be getting stronger rather than being threatened right now. And if you think about the common interest against China, for instance, the logical approach would have been perhaps to take China to the woodshed, because there are many issues that one can legitimately quibble with China in terms of their intellectual property rights protection, whether in fact they have been opening up their markets in line with WTO commitments. But instead taking on one's traditional allies before going after China made it difficult to bring those allies on board when disputes against China flared up.
Then I find really interesting that on the flip side, there seems to be a disagreement / potential agreement when it comes to Iran. This is what President Macron had to say yesterday.
We have nuclear on the short run. We have nuclear on the long run. We have ballistic activity. We have regional presence of Iran. We want to fix the situation for these 4 pillars. Syria is part of the 4th one.
Does this help France and Germany and U.S. when it comes to trade, or does it hurt it?
It's going to create a little more uncertainty and therefore disruption. Now, clearly there are, again, common interests in dealing with countries like Iran. But the approach that the Trump administration is taking is certainly much more hardline than what the Europeans seem to be comfortable with right now. And given that there is already enough tension and turmoil in the Middle East, and especially with oil prices rising to where they are right now, this doesn't help on that front. It doesn't help the U.S. economy a great deal. And it seems like Mr. Trump has taken the view that a very hardline approach is what pays off. He sees this as working with North Korea. He sees this as potentially working with China. And I think that is carrying over to the Iran issue as well.